everybody. My name is Luke Detweiler. I am the host, and I'm here with Maddox Wise and Kaden Hankey.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to I think that has come out in recent years. I
agree.
Yeah, definitely for a series. I can't think of anything that really tops it.
Though, like, just being able to consider it as good as, like, the Star Wars trilogy and stuff already is, like, pretty good.
It's up there. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Nerd trilogies making a comeback. Spider-Man making a comeback.
I think Spider-Man's
It's mainstream.
back.
It's mainstream.
I think he came back and he's gone now.
Yeah. Oh, I was talking about like the Spider-Verse, the animated movies.
Oh no! I was thinking like the live action.
Oh
ones.
yeah. No. I'm talking about like Miles Morales.
The Tom Holland ones. I liked.
No, I
the
think in
first
general
one.
they are coming back. That's off topic. We're talking about Dune.
Dude.
And the effects on the music industry that Dune has made.
Oh yeah, didn't they make a whole new instrument for it?
Yeah. I think they made
What?
a couple actually. They made one for the first movie and then they made one for the second, I think.
Yeah, it was to mimic the sound of the wind.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it was called. Some weird.
Yeah, like to make the sound of the wind like howling type thing.
Yeah.
It's like a big old flute.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I never heard of that.
A flute, but it's not as loud.
It's like a flute and a didgeridoo, like kind of combined.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine that. That's kind of crazy.
Well, I see Swanson has a donut in his hand right now.
Dude,
Ooh.
that looks yummy.
Bet you Timothy Chalamet didn't have that on Dune.
Yeah, no, they were stuck in the desert. They had just like
That's a good point.
sand.
Where's the donuts in Dune?
Are donuts canon?
Those are on the Atreides planet.
Yeah.
Like, they trust me. They got it done.
Where donuts would fall from.
What if? Okay, like in I think it's the second movie when he's like, oh yeah, it
Rain. Also, rain used to fall from the sky.
or something like that.
And then it cuts to him sitting in like a slightly more humid desert.
What is a couple of deserts?
Like you can sweat and it won't evaporate.
Yeah.
Johnny.
I like Johnny. You know who I don't like?
Hmm.
Paul.
True. That's one thing that I loved about like watching the first movie and already having the experience of the book, where I was like, I can't wait to see people's reactions to the second movie, because anytime anybody asked me if the second movie was going to be any good, my first question was, do you like Paul?
Yeah.
I think you would ask me that because I'd never read the book.
Mhm.
I don't read. I can't read.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
And that's a rough book to read, honestly.
It is.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Luke has it, and it is big.
Big old
But
800.
I know you don't like to read, but it is honestly probably better to read after watching the movies.
I have wanted to. I just know I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe one day in my life I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Maddox did ask me if I liked Paul, and I was like, yeah, Paul's my goat. He's really cool. And then I watched the second movie, and we went to DQ afterwards to get some grub. And
Yep.
I was like, yeah, I don't like Paul anymore.
Yeah, he's a
He's kind of like...
bad person.
You know who I think I like less than Paul? His mother.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. His mom.
I had bad vibes from his mom since the second I saw her. I don't know how. Just like the way
Definitely.
that Dune 1 showed her, I was like, she's gonna do something bad.
It's all that Benny
She's not
Gesserit stuff, bro.
Dune something
Gesserit.
bad.
Benny Gesserit out here.
Speaking about Benny
Benny
Gesserit, that one girl.
Okay.
Like the grandma, you mean?
Yeah, like the very old,
Like
gross Benny
Reverend
Gesserit.
Mother.
Gaius Helen over here.
Dang.
What about her? She's evil, dude.
I
She's
won't
always
say.
plotting.
What's
I
in the
won't say.
box?
What's in my box?
Pain. There's a little crab in there
I know Fade got freaky with that thing,
with the box.
with the box.
Yeah, actually, the reason... No, I'm not going to make that joke.
Fade's like definition. I think Fade is the closest thing that we've gotten to like the definition of a freak on camera.
He's so weird.
I kind of love it though.
I do too. Like, who plays him? Austin Butler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays him really well.
Oh my god.
Just gross.
Why'd he kiss
guy.
Why'd he kiss his uncle like that?
Why'd he kiss him twice?
Twice.
On the lips.
Jeez.
He was going in for it.
His uncle ain't even hot or anything.
His
he's
uncle
just
ain't doing hot.
he's just like this big fat guy who's got to float on a platform because of legs.
He literally has to have that suspender thing. Like, it doesn't say in the movie, but he has to have that.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
weight.
his spine will just like snap because he's so chubby.
He's so big.
And I'm gonna look up how much. It says in the book he's 200 kilos. How much is that?
That's like 400 pounds or something like that. Wait.
He could live.
No. I mean, there's like a whole thing with like the gravity of the planets and stuff in the book.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I feel like in the movie they were like they kept it obviously, but they were like, what if we actually make this cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in Dune 1984, it's like a balloon. Like he's being floated by a balloon.
Yeah, I didn't know what that's not in the book. I thought maybe it was something for like the poison from Duke Leto whenever he tried to kill him in the first movie. Like trying to get because they cut it and then he starts like dying.
Huh. I always wondered how he ended up in the like on the ceiling after that scene. You know, when it cuts back to him.
Oh, he just used his anti-gravity. Whoom.
Wait.
You don't remember that? Like he bit on the poison and everyone in the room died, and then it cuts back later, and he's like on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Who is Leto?
No. The Baron.
Yeah.
Oh, he's probably just flying
Yeah, he's
up
just using
there.
his gravity.
Yeah, he's really, I thought you were talking about Leto. I'm like, nah, he's looking upside down.
One thing that's also not in the book that I really liked is the other like Harkonnen soldiers using the anti-gravity stuff.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you? Like,
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But at the same time, I was like, why are they scaling the mountain and when they can just like fly up in the air?
true.
Why do
Like-
they have all this technology and no donuts?
Yeah.
So much tech, zero donuts.
I haven't seen them eat anything other than like spice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, put some spice.
Yeah,
on
no,
the
they
donut.
had like that like weird like mashed up gruel and it was like super shiny and they were
Yeah.
like, there's spice in the food. Like, dude, that food's like 50% spice. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Are you trying to get food without spice in the spice land?
Yeah, bro. Like,
It's not
come
gonna
on.
work. There is the one fight scene with Fade and like the gladiator ring.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They shot that in black and white and infrared.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So that the skin showed up like weird, like translucent, sort of.
What?
Yeah, I don't like. I keep seeing Instagram videos like, here's why they shot the gladiator scene in infrared. Still doesn't explain it.
It doesn't explain it. I think Denis just thought it would be cool.
I think it's cool too.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think the one reason I saw that I could like, yeah, I can agree with that is he didn't want the sand to look like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
in the dune.
The other thing that I've heard is he used the black and white to kind of represent like Arrakis kind of symbolizes how the people who have lived their entire lives think, you know.
Yeah.
It's an environment of just absolute, you know, decimation. As Paul says, quote, this world is beyond cruelty. So like whenever you
Wow.
like live like that, you know, you develop a certain sense of culture. And I've heard that he decided to make their planet look like that because it's never really described that strongly in the book, to kind of show how the Harkonnens think in terms of black and white. You know, they're kind of like they're kind of very like one-sided. You know,
Yeah, kill everything and make the most money.
exactly. Whenever they're like the Fremen, like those guys, like they suck, and then they can't change their mind on it. They suck. You know what I mean?
They only suck because they want the good space drug.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that Paul was already like part Harkonnen, and then in the book, I kind of just realized this last night. This part that I read, the Reverend Mother was like complaining to Paul's mom that she didn't produce a daughter to marry a Harkonnen.
Yep.
Do you
Yeah.
know how incestuous that would have been, dude?
Yeah. That's
That's
Uh,
crazy, dog.
They don't care.
They don't.
It's like royalty. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It is still pretty.
also, I mean, obviously they've done enough like looking into it to know how the genes work because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like they're trying to
It's weird.
create the perfect person through a whole bunch of genes. So they
And they didn't believe it was Paul.
Yeah.
Frank just really
Prove
loved
them wrong.
incest.
Yeah, proved them wrong.
Frank just really liked incest. We get
That's
it.
probably also true.
I think it was pretty cool how Paul used the voice on the Bene Gesserit. I think it was the mother.
Silence.
And, like, she was affected by it.
Mhm.
Because, to my knowledge, they're, like, the people that can use
Yeah.
that.
And also, in the first movie, he's trying to learn the voice and everything, and she uses it on him,
Yeah.
and he's like, "How dare you do that?" So I kind of liked, second movie comes back,
He does it to her.
like, respect the move, hate the person, but I respect
Yeah.
the move.
I don't like Paul.
I still don't know how to feel
But-
about him.
He could.
He's-
He still has a chance to be a good guy.
Yeah.
He's very likable, bad person. that's my final verdict. I've read enough of the books. That's my final
That
verdict on
he
him.
is.
Does he not become a good guy again?
I'm not gonna say anything.
I already got spoiled. Are you fine with a spoiler? Because you probably won't ever read on, right, Kaden?
Well,
Though they're making Dune 3.
I
That's a
don't
pretty
want
small
to. I don't want a spoiler for Dune Messiah.
That's
'Cause-
probably a spoiler for Doom Messiah.
I want to read Dune, but at the same time, I want to like ignore the first book
Yeah.
entirely and read Dune Messiah because I know enough about the first book.
I think you could get through Dune Messiah without the first book. Hopefully.
I feel like I could, and if there's something I don't understand, I'm not gonna understand it. I'm gonna forget about it anyways.
Yeah, dude.
Dune Part 3, Dune Messiah. Like a Dune Messiah movie would be great, I think. Right, Maddox? You said it was like a good book.
no. Dune Messiah I liked as much as like the best. It's like the best parts of the first book without all the extra filler is how I'd put it.
Right.
I read a article, or I guess I like skimmed through it, and the title of it was "Will Dune Part 3 be good?" Because Dune Messiah is a bad book.
Okay.
Damn.
It was very controversial whenever it came out because whenever the first book came out, I still find this surprising. A lot of people thought Paul was the good guy.
Well, I think it's designed to make it seem
Yeah.
like Paul's the good guy.
Yeah, yeah. It's designed
until the end.
But like you have to have like, the media literacy brain to be like, Paul's a bad person by the end of this book. Paul's a
Yeah.
bad person. People didn't do that. So then that was what made Frank go, all right, I have to write a second book. So the second book is kind of just there to be like, hey, Paul's a bad person. And people got very annoyed with that because that's not how they saw him. But with the movies, I feel like they made it clear enough that people are like, all right, yeah,
Yeah.
Paul's a bad guy,
yeah,
whatever.
it's a lot easier to see
It
on
is.
screen.
Yeah.
instead of reading.
I think like what showed it really a lot was when he was speaking to all the Fremen in that
Mhm.
huge cave, and they were all like chanting him or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's totally like he's taking
Shows that he's power
advantage of a group of people that have been so put down their entire lives.
Yeah, and a group of people where most of them, especially in the South, are looking for the guidance of a Lisan al-Gaib,
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Al
Or-
Gaib."
or like basically a god to them,
Yeah,
and he's just taking advantage. He kind of is.
yeah, yeah.
He is the
He-
Lisan al-Gaib.
But like
But,
he's
like-
also still taking advantage of it. He's using it to his own advantage.
Yeah, at the same time, the Lisan al-Gaib was planted by the Bene Gesserit.
Uh-huh.
It's not a real
It's
prophecy.
it's there's no like truth to the prophecy. It's just put there for the
Yeah.
sake of them surviving.
yeah.
It's because they need a savior to believe in. I think they said.
Yep.
Yeah. And he didn't want to at first, which I'm still interested on. I'll have to either read it or see it in like 7 years.
Mhm.
His reasoning behind taking advantage of it, because throughout the 2 movies, he doesn't want to be the savior
Mhm.
Yeah.
until he takes the drink of life.
Crazy juice.
I think he slowly develops it as he lives with the Fremen.
Yeah,
know?
I agree too. I think whenever he lives with the Fremen, he's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I'm a
Fremen.
savior here."
Yeah. It's kind of just like angsty teenager rage where he's trying to get back at everyone who wronged him.
Yeah,
So he's trying to
true.
kill all the Harkonnens. He's trying to destroy the Imperial House, the Emperor.
Also, this is something I've come up with on my own.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think it's funny how like there's crazy names like Vladimir Harkonnen and,
Yeah, yeah.
and Fade and
And then you got like Paul, Jessica.
Yeah, Paul, Jessica, Leto. Leto's a little out there, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's still pretty simple. I think that's just the diversity of the planets, right?
Mhm.
Like, I think you're
True, and the
meant to
houses.
think Atreides is like not. It sounds like it's like America. Like they sound like American names.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
Vladimir.
I think the original, like in the lore, the Atreides came from like ancient Greek families.
Yeah,
No, I kinda see what you're
that
talking
fits a
about.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Paul is like America, then Vladimir would be like Russia.
Yeah, and I think the way that this book was wrote was, Arrakis is very much so the Middle East.
Yeah, yeah.
Russia, or Harkonnen is very much Russia. Like it says Vladimir, which is their way of rulership.
Yeah, it's very like Eastern European
Yeah.
type.
But-
That is cool to think about. It really does relate to the actual history of the region during the time that it was made.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
The
I
whole
think people miss
Cold
that
War.
because I see so many things of like, oh, why is his name Paul, Jessica, Duncan,
Yeah, yeah.
Duncan Idaho is
Duncan,
his name,
Idaho.
which he's really freaking cool. But like, I think that's why it's just the diversity of like culture and planets.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think like, yeah, you get like, Earth, you spread out a whole lot, you're going to get some weird names, just what
Yeah.
happens. But yeah, no, I think seeing like, the whole metaphor of the Middle East and the whole kind of crisis there, it's really poignant, like even today, for a book that was written 60 years ago to be like,
you can still connect it to
Yeah.
modern day problems,
you can still have that connection easily.
which might be a problem.
Hey,
Maybe we should take a
Oh,
page out
this
of
is a
Dune
lot
or something.
word.
Yeah.
Maybe 800 pages. I don't know. Actually, no. Only like 400 because we don't want people reading the last half and thinking Paul's a good guy.
true.
Yeah.
There is there's a quote in the book that I really like, especially like once you have like the hindsight of it, because it's kind of early in the book.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It is quote, the worst thing that could happen to the Fremen people is a hero.
Yeah.
True.
I think I want to believe that the Fremen will be saved,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but
Probably
there's
not.
also a war that's going to happen.
That's going to
Yeah, yeah.
happen, and it references it in the first movie, I think.
Yep.
It references it in
All
both
across.
movies.
Whenever
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
heavily.
Whenever he's in the tent and he starts getting the visions and he's like, oh my God.
Thousands of people
oh
will
my
die
God.
in my father's name.
Millions of people.
Dang.
I think
Dang.
actually, I don't know if this is where I heard this, but he did find a way to kill like the least amount of people, and it was still millions or like billions of people all
Yeah,
across the galaxy.
I don't want to believe that Paul. He is a bad guy. I don't believe he'd be like, yeah, I'm going to kill as many people as I can.
Yeah,
You know?
he's like, on one hand, he's like, oh no, all the people that like me are killing a bunch of people because of me. But he's also kind of like, like, hey, I'm emperor now.
Look
ooh.
who's super strong.
The Emperor's daughter.
Hey, at
like-
least they're killing my enemies. You know what I'm saying? Hey.
Hey. Yeah, he is emperor now, right?
Yeah.
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 Because he married what is it, the emperor's daughter.
I also think he just made the emperor step down by
Yeah.
killing Fade.
He's like, hey. Listeners can't see this, but I just did like the point of my eyes, point of his eyes type thing. He's like, hey, I'm gonna kill you.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
Yeah,
That whole fight was cool at the end of the movie.
I saw
thought
Dune
so.
2.
I saw this thing. What is it? Recently, that kind of like, it almost kind of confused me because I read the book, so like, I have a little bit more context. Somebody thought that "May thy knife chip and shatter" was like a good luck thing, and it's like the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
It's like
may you die.
Because
Like-
it's not only is like may your weapon fail you, but like those knives are like religious to them because they come
Yeah.
from the worms. So it's like I hope that your God fails you
Yeah,
in your
it's a-
time of need and
a
lets
really
me
weird
kill
thing.
you.
I also
Say.
think it's really funny that during the fight between Paul and Fade, whenever Paul says "May thy knife chip and shatter," Fade says it back, but in like the way like that's so stupid.
He's like, bro,
yeah, like
my
okay.
knife ain't chipping. This is metal, bro. Like,
Yeah, and I just think that's pretty funny because he didn't wish death upon Paul,
Mhm.
and that guy's insane.
Oh yeah, the other thing is Fade's knife was poisoned in the book.
What do you mean?
The knife that he like stabbed Paul with, like it wasn't a strong poison. It was like a muscle relaxant type thing to make Paul react slower. But Paul used his crazy Bene Gesserit brain to just like turn it off the poison, like the same way that they do
Right.
with like the weird blue drink that's like supposed to kill you. He just like
They
turned
have-
off the poison.
they have like a poison. Like they can move it around their body or something.
Yeah, yeah.
To stop it. From
Yep.
Yeah, doesn't Jessica do that whenever
Yeah.
she drinks it, and
Yeah,
then she
yeah.
just sends it all to the baby?
Yeah. Well, she doesn't send the poison to the baby. She sends like the weird blue juice.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, yeah.
The weird blue juice.
But yeah, no. Paul can do the same thing, and he like did it with that knife in the book, and he was like,
That would be so cool.
bro.
How would you take that out?
Well, I don't know how you'd put it in. You know, you'd have to have like inner monologue of Paul being like, "Oh, there's poison in this."
Oh, this is poison.
No, I think you could have easily done it by like the knife like has like a green or
implying,
whatever tint,
yeah.
and then like they could go into his veins like they
Mhm.
did with Jessica,
Yeah.
and like show like the poison start to flow, and then he's like, "Shua."
Yep. But also another important thing is like, nobody else could know that there was poison on it. You know, so like they couldn't do it in like a way that like made everybody else in the room see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. Maybe if they had like a little quick cut of like the emperor like putting something on it or
Yeah.
something. But
No, I
yeah.
think it would have been really cool if after Fade had stabbed him the first time, he goes, "You see, my knife has poison in it. Not enough to make it kill you, but enough to relax your muscles."
it's like one of those anime like
Yeah.
villains where they're like,
monologue.
You've fallen- you're
falling for my trap.
Yeah. and then it goes, "Joke's on you, Fade. I'll use my Bene Gesserit powers to take this poison
He
out
starts
of
doing
you."
some crazy like hand symbols like
And then it cuts to like everybody in the crowd.
Dude, I love how all the Fremen just have to like stand and watch whenever Paul gets stabbed.
Yeah. I
Part of their
don't-
warrior culture.
I like that fight. I don't like the way it ended because
Mm-hmm.
you don't see Paul stab him, or like, but like you also don't see anything leading up to him stabbing.
True.
You know,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like
Happens.
you know, media literacy. We were taught like, you know, just because something happens and you don't feel like it's out of place, is
Mhm.
because they put it in subconsciously and other things.
Yep.
Maybe I missed it, but it didn't feel like they put it in subconsciously.
It was, yeah.
I didn't feel that way about it, but maybe that's because I already knew that he was gonna get stabbed. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
like
was
I
like-
knew Paul was gonna win.
Mhm.
But
That's
the
obvious,
way
yeah.
The way
Yeah.
he won was like, oh,
Kind
it
of stupid.
didn't
It
seem like he was
that
supposed to
happened.
win right there.
Yep.
And it's because they made it look like he was already basically lost, and then he just randomly
Well, like,
stabs him, and you can't even see it because he's like basically hugging him.
yeah, he had
Mhm.
the knife like off to his side a little bit, and Fade like must have gotten closer.
Yeah, yeah.
and,
He like flips it and then.
yeah.
And there's so many generic tropes in modern movies, but like I don't really think Dune had that many. The only like other real bad part was when he drank the blue like holy water, and he was about to die,
Mm-hmm.
and then whatever her name was cried, and for some reason that healed him.
Oh no, it's because she was the Desert Spring.
Yeah.
The Desert Spring.
It's like
I missed
she
that.
definitely has more like power over Arrakis than like an average Fremen.
Mm-hmm.
And they call her the Desert Spring, and it's in the prophecy that the Desert Spring will heal or revive the Lisan al Gaib.
I
As
think
it
I
is
remember
written.
now.
As it is
Yeah,
written.
yeah. It's a whole thing where like she's like kind of Bene Gesserit, but like
Yeah.
the weird Dune like Arrakis spinoff. You know what I mean?
Which one's that?
So like,
It's kind of like
you know, they have that old lady that like dies after Jessica drinks the blue water.
Oh yeah.
Like they have their own like Bene Gesserit thing going on there, but it got like changed over time
Reverend
because they don't
Mother.
have any contact with you know, the rest of the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah,
So like they got their own little weird subculture.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I thought like the spice just made them hallucinate too, or like
It does a
dreams.
little more than
Yeah.
hallucinate. I think it enhances them. It's like a
Mhm.
performance enhancement.
It also
It's a steroid.
it extends lifespans by like decades.
yeah,
So they'll live to like 120.
that's why the Reverend Mother was so dang old. She was just like nasty old.
Yeah, she's nasty. Because there was no other Reverend Mothers coming around.
Yeah.
And they like use the spice for interplanetary travel.
Yeah.
How does that?
Yeah.
So like whenever you like take acid
You go really fast.
and you look at the moon for too long, it starts feeling like you're there. So
I think walking out of Dune too, I was talking to Maddox like, why don't they ever show like spice being used? Like I know they want
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
and
for,
I
like,
know they
space
use it for
travel.
but like they'd never show it being used. And his response was, they tried in 1984 and it didn't look cool.
yeah, so well, I mean that's all of 1984, but in the book it's also supposed to be like mysterious how they use it, because so like you know those guys, this is kind of a bit of a deep cut. You know whenever the dude shows up from the Imperium to like tell Paul and his dad that they're going to Arrakis,
Yeah.
and he has like the whole big thing and he's like yelling and he's like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know those guys in the white robes with like the weird like dome helmets? Those are the Spacing Guild. They're in charge of interplanetary travel. They're like their own whole group. So like you have like the royal houses,
Yeah.
you have the Imperium, and they have the Spacing Guild, and they have like a monopoly on
Yeah.
on like movement basically.
So they have like their own industry secrets,
Mhm.
kind of.
But the
Yeah.
reason that they're in those dome helmets is because they look freaky. They like you get to see it in you'll probably get to see it in part 3.
Messiah.
Yeah, because they just look freaky. And in the first book, so like the first 2 movies, it's always just like implied, but you never actually get to see it. So I think they were trying to stick with that. And I think that they have to be out of those weird dome helmets to like do the space travel. So they were like, we're gonna save that reveal for later.
Okay, that's cool.
Guys, we got to wrap this up. It's
Oh,
8:05.
No, we don't.
No,
We can go for 5 more minutes.
I got a free period first period, so
I also don't have to do anything first period. I could stay down.
If you guys want to keep talking, you can. I can just leave the podcast right now.
No, we gotta end it.
we can cut it off.
Oh wait, how does Dune involve the school?
Oh,
It's just like the musical.
yeah, it's like the musical, but the school's not putting it on, and it's not happening at the school.
And
Yeah.
it's not a musical.
Yeah,
But it's close to a musical.
so like if I had to compare Dune and Grease, I would say that one of them has better music, and I'm not gonna say which.
I just think
You should play the Freeman, the voice, the throat
yeah,
singing.
wait. Anybody who hasn't,
I feel like Grease just doesn't have a Lisan al Gaib, and that's just kind of
Yeah.
weird.
okay, but Grease also doesn't have this crazy sound effect. This is what, for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, I don't know why you're watching this. You're weird, but I don't know how you made it this far either. But this
My
is
parents.
okay before the Warner's Brother logo, before
any kind of
anything,
intro.
before you even meet Paul, like right after the trailers finish, this is what plays. Give me a second. Give it a second. Literally just that. Like you're just like sitting in a movie theater, nothing's happening, and then that happens, and you're like, oh my god.
What happened?
And that happens at the beginning of both movies.
I'm scared.
And I think it's because like all the chapters open with like an interesting quote, and there's an interesting quote like on the screen whenever that plays. I just thought it was crazy the first time. I was like, oh my god,
This is wild.
like I'm definitely watching Dune. Like that's a fact.
All right, what are you doing this weekend? You better be watching Dune. You get it?
Go
Yeah,
watch
what
at
you
Saturday. Watch Dune. Sunday,
Watch
Dune
Dune
2,
2.
baby.
Did Jack watch Dune? No, he didn't.
I bet you he didn't.
He didn't. He said he didn't.
Monday through
We're gonna make
Friday,
him
read
watch
the
Dune.
books.
Yeah, Monday through Friday, read all 7 books.
Yep.
I think there's more than that.
I think it's
even.
like 10, but
Oh, I thought there
there's
was
like
like
3
all
good
that.
ones.
Yeah.
And you have to read like 4 of them to get there. So just read like the first 4 and like deal with the third one, I guess.
All right, I gotta pack this up.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.